Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the American Sim Racing Club. This particular race, the Car Parts Classic, brought to you by Advantage Auctions, as well as joining us for just this race, giving it the name, the Car Parts Classic, is Napa Auto Parts. Thank you very much to them, bringing us a cash prize for the winner of 25 USD. And $25 for a random driver as well, as we get the drivers lined up and ready to get qualifying underway. I am your host here, Gareth McAllister, bringing you the action 1080p 60 FPS alongside Team Goon Squad, as long as my Australian internet can handle it. Right now, watching John Kane go through the motions as qualifying continues to go underway as we get ready here at Iowa Speedway tonight. Gonna be heading under lights and going to be quite the spectacular race, I am sure. Iowa Speedway being 0.85 of a mile, so not quite a mile long. And we have one set of additional tires. Double file restarts on our documentation here. And the pit road speed will be 40 miles an hour. Now, as I said, they do have one additional tire set, so pit stops may become a factor here in our 70-lap feature event. Our heat races for tonight are 5 laps long. John Kane firmly puts himself in the 5th position, just being dropped down to the 6th now as Hayden Swank puts himself up into the 2nd place spot, bringing a new paint scheme as we've come to expect every single week from Hayden Swank. Looks like he's going to try and make one more attempt, get it dialed in here, see if he can do something. But no, Ron Hart is going to stay at the top of the table. Hoffman now a little bit down on the apron as well, probably practicing pit entry. Nice to see some cars and some people that I have not seen before. Ben Armado being one of them. 24 machine. iRacing backed paint scheme as well, bringing their Super Late model here to Iowa. Currently sitting in the 9th position. Going to have a decent field here. I believe I'm seeing 19 different Super Late models making their way out on track this evening. So we should be in for a good one. I've just seen Zen stay in chat. When is it starting? Well, I guess it would be right now. As the heat races start to get underway, we're going to run through the grid. John DeMista starting on pole. Devin McDonald in 2nd position. Eric Hahn in 3rd place. 4th place is going to be Stephen Hoffman. David Payton in 5th, and Ron Hart rounding out your 3rd row. The pole sitter. Be starting in 6th for the first heat race. See, the nice paint scheme of DeMista there has not changed. That number 2 machine, knowing what needs to happen to get his way near the front. Devin McDonald alongside in the 18. He's going to be... I'm not sure if he's the only Canadian on track this week, but usually he's the only one that turns up, and it's always great to see him representing the Canadian flag. As the pace truck's lights are out, lights were out, but I guess we're going to go one more lap before we actually go to green. That's an interesting turn of events I didn't expect to see here tonight. So we've been hitting speeds in practice of around about 155 miles an hour here at Iowa. So quite the speed round only a point 0.8 of a mile track. See Peyton in the background as well as Demister there, starting a little bit further back. They're going to be dropping back for the start of this heat race. And McDonald, Eric Hahn are going to be 1 and 2. Stephen Hoffman, Ron Hart just behind. Don Demister and David Peyton be a bit further back, starting behind the line. As we get underway, Devin McDonald is going to take a nice jump. Eric Hahn is going to be stuck on the outside as Stephen Hoffman makes his way through. Ron Hart just behind as well, making his way underneath Eric Hahn. Hahn's going to have to tuck down pretty quick as Ron Hart goes very high on exit, trying to get that run on the downhill of the banking. David Peyton and John Demister going at it a little bit further back, fighting to not be in that final position, as Hoffman here still under fire from Ron Hart at the moment. Hart working the outside lane, something we didn't expect to see, but we're certainly happy to see it now, as Ron Hart continues to make that outside work, using all that exit speed and almost, you would argue, not getting as loose as some of the other cars as they come up the track. So that 51 machine looking very racy indeed as he stalks Devin McDonald now, the 18 machine. Continuing to stay in the highest groove. Eric Hahn looked like he had a little bit of a bobble there on the inside. I was going to say entrance to the corner, but I definitely should have said, as Ron Hart continues to be in the middle of this battle here with Stephen Hoffman just behind and Devin McDonald just in front. Hart now looking to the underside of Devin McDonald. Gets that move done, but for how long, as Devin McDonald's going to fight back on the high side now. White flag is out. Final lap of the heat race here tonight. One of many as they get into a touch, get into a niggle. 18 goes around. Devin McDonald spinning out to the infield. We're going to stay green for the moment. Ron Hart is almost getting dive bombed there by Stephen Hoffman, who gets a little bit squirrely, but it's going to be Ron Hart, Stephen Hoffman, Eric Hahn, David Peyton, John DeMister, and Devin McDonald bringing up the rear. An unfortunate little conundrum for him there, as that was, I believe you can agree with me, one hectic start to the Car Parts Classic. All right, as we get ready for our second heat race of the night. Grid work with me. All right. The grid is struggling to display, so let's just go on to the race itself. Oh boy. We have Charles Darling starting up in front anyway on the high side. Dante Hewer underneath alongside Zach Rush and Michael Sturgill Jr. as well. Michael Sturgill Jr. on the high side there. You can see a little bit further back. Try and get this one sorted out. Donovan Carty, Andrew Payne in 5th and 6th, and Kenneth Farmer going to be bringing up the rear. Why do we always have technical issues in the heat races? What is happening? Oh man, even reloading, it's not working. Oh well. The important thing is we can see the cars on track. I can still bring you the action, even if I can't show exactly what I want to show. Maybe in a little bit of luck here. Going to green, Dante Hewer bringing up the inside line, getting a nice launch, but Charles Darling right alongside. Not too far behind, Michael Sturgill Jr. also following on the high side. Zach Rush, Donovan Cardi. Now Cardi almost gets in the rear bumper of Zach Rush on the inside as well. Andrew Payne working his way in there as well. The 93 machine sponsoring our main sponsor for this race. Here at Napa Auto Parts bringing you the Car Parts Classic. As Charles Darling, the odds-on favourite to win, voted by many of these drivers here tonight, takes a nice lead. Sturgill Jr. trying to work his way through traffic as Andrew Payne just there. As our software updates itself perfectly. Oh, okay. We're going to pretend like it's perfect. Andrew Payne on the high side getting a little bit loose. Dante Hewer underneath. Falling back in line. Donovan Cardi just ahead of them. As Michael Sturgill Jr. now goes for the move on Charles Darling up for the front position. Charles Darling on the high side. Sturgill Jr. still trying to make that move. Darling really not letting him take the position away. As Sturgill Jr. is still having to work something fierce to keep Darling behind, as Darling has found a groove that he likes, even if it's up high, and is trying to stick with it. Side drafting there, Andrew Payne with a potential bit of an issue, or is the race over? The race was over. That explains a lot. As hope properly now. Okay. Be with everyone in a moment once we can get this sorted out. Do have the cars on the actual track, so that's a good start. Grid's still not working for me. Live timing seems it's coming up, but it's not actually showing any cars, so... Oh boy. This is the second week in a row we're struck with technical difficulties. SDK having a recent, maybe not so recent, but definitely having an update on my end, seeming to have an impact that I am not particularly happy with. As we've got Ben Armato, as I say it, the newcomer, or one of the newcomers, starting up front here with John Kane on his outside, Tim Rogers and Hayden Swank following behind. Rogers on the high side, Swank on the inside in that second row. Franklin Evans was showing us on track. There he is, warming up his tyres using all of the track. to do so. As the pace truck comes down, and we've got Ben Armado taking it off on the green flag. John Kane outside on the high side. Hayden Swank going to make that move on the inside. Tim Rogers just behind, underneath John Kane. John Kane falling back pretty far. Franklin Evans also makes a run at him. So Franklin Evans makes that move. John Kane gets a much nicer turn into the corner though. However, not able to make anything happen. Hayden Swank, always a favourite to see him out on track. He is charging now up to Ben Armado at the front there. Looks like he's going to make a move to the inside. That's a very commanding move as Armado leaves plenty of room. That is definitely a technical issue, as I did not ask for that to happen. As Hayden Swank takes the lead, Ben Armado still struggling on the high side. Tim Rogers underneath, as well as Franklin Evans throwing his face in there. Hayden Swank still taking control of this race. Tim Rogers just behind. Franklin Evans has finally made that move side by side with Armado. Evans has made that pass on Armado. And they will file back in line. John Kane falling back a little bit to this group in front. Armado makes the move on Evans. There's a light touch. Nothing major though, just a small amount of scraping on the bodywork. As Hayden Swank continues to roll through this one. And slowing down as if they've finished. There is the finish. So we've got the feature coming up for you. Our 70-lap feature, in where I'm hoping we can have our normal software back. That would be fantastic. Very peculiar issue I'm having here with this race at the moment, because all of my cameras are switching at the right times. All the drivers and everything is live. Everyone's having a good old time. For some reason, my timing board, screen, displays, not quite working how they should be. Zen, you and everyone else watching back in the spectator area, I wish I could bring you a better show than what I have done the past 2 weeks, but working with what unfortunately I have to work with. See the displays coming and going. That's actually not me doing that. That's all just happening. I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to fix it. I have tried all of the above, and oh well, I shouldn't be referencing it as much as I am, but yeah, it's not really going away, is it? Oh, someone's spinning around the warm-up. The warm-up's just come to a close now. So we will have the feature event being brought to you. Hopefully things out fine. As once again, we want to thank our sponsors, Advantage Auction. I have been told I say that weird. I think I said that last week. But yes, thank you to them for sponsoring the series. Here at ASRC, we thank them very, very much. And Napa Auto Parts for sponsoring this particular race and sounding like they may or may not sponsor a race in the future. So thank you very much to them, as well as shouting out $25 to the winner as a cash prize and another cash prize of $25 to a random driver in the field. I have been informed by Tana Tallarico, our man in charge of the series, that the random $25 driver prize cannot go to the winner of this race, which is well, I guess very welcome news to anyone who's not the winner. So no doubling down on the $25 cash prize to get yourself some $50. So, because our grid isn't working, I will go once again quickly through. Ron Hart starting on pole, Michael Sturgill Jr. in second, Hayden Swank alongside Stephen Hoffman in your second row, Tim Rogers, Charles Darling in your third row, Donovan Carty, Eric Hahn in your fourth row? Oh boy, yeah, that's fourth row. Ben Armado and Dante Hewer are going to be in your fifth row. Franklin Evans, Devin McDonald, our lone Canadian, is going to be in your sixth row. Andrew Payne and John Kane they're going to be in your seventh row. Zach Rush, Kenneth Farmer in your eighth row. David Payton, John DeMister in your ninth row. And I believe that is rounding out the field. We do have Mark Welch and Brett Hahn showing on our live timing screen. However, they are not on track at the moment. So perhaps have not been able to make it through to the grid. David Payton starting second last. He was our winner last week. This series producing new winners every single week so far. 4 weeks, 4 different winners. So we should get ready to continue that trend, I believe, as Ron Hart gets a nice jump out front. Michael Sturgill Jr. following pretty closely behind, not too far fallen back, as Hayden Swank looks to the underside of him. Three-way battle a little bit further back. Charles Darling finds his way through Armado, and Donovan Carty goes up into the sixth position. Hayden Swank in trouble now from Sturgill Jr. Potentially Sturgill Jr. saying, no, that was my second spot. I earned it. I deserve it. So sticking into the high side as Swank has a little bit of a bobble. In terms of internet connection, Swank losing the spot there to Michael Sturgill Jr. So showing pace on the high side, absolutely. As Armado here, we can see under fire from Franklin Evans. Franklin Evans, no stranger to moving his way through the field. As is the man behind, Andrew Payne. Consistently finding himself moving through the field each and every week. As that looks like a caution has happened. And we've got Devin McDonald shown as a crash. I've tried to bring that one up. And I guess my replay's not working either. Alright, so I'm going to continue to call this race, absolutely. As I had a bout of quietness just then. I apologize for that one, trying to find out what is actually going on. As Ron Hart's still in charge of the field, Stephen Hoffman looking like in third position there. Hayden Swank is going to be, I believe, in second place on the inside there. Joseph Penn joining us in chat. 2 heats or 3 heats? There was 3 heats tonight. Depends on the amount of drivers. Alright, that may have done the trick. I certainly hope so. As we're back. Look at that beautiful display. Joseph Penn coming in with a save, my good friend and colleague from way back when, as Ron Hart takes the position away, keeping the pace at the front. Hayden Swank, Stephen Hoffman, side by side now. As Hoffman continues to be on the high side. Franklin Evans with a huge move a little bit further back on Donovan Carty. Franklin Evans always one to make a move whenever he sees fit. As we have another caution coming out, it's going to be John Kane that's crashed out. Our functions are working beautifully now. As you can see there, it's going to be the 711 giving a little tap in the rear. That's going to be Eric Hahn. Bit of a tap in the rear, bit of a smash at the front as well. 29 machine is sent to the outside wall. Little bit of a lift, thankfully not falling over. John Kane comes down pit road to get his car looked at as Eric Hahn also looking to come down pit road, I believe. We have one set of additional tires, so drivers may decide to come down, get some stuff figured out as the 18 machine. Perhaps involved in the earlier caution. You did see Devin McDonald was involved in the first caution of the night. Coming down to get some more repairs done on that machine. Ron Hart continues to lead. So at the moment, Ron Hart is going to be out in front. Hayden Swank in the second position. Stephen Hoffman out in third. Charles Darling is going to be in fourth. Tim Rogers in fifth. That is going to be your top 5. Hart starting on that inside lane, getting a nice little jump. Hayden Swank predicts it pretty well, not falling back too far. Jumping straight back in line in front of Stephen Hoffman, looks like. There it is. Charles Darling is going to be the first car on the high side now, a little bit further back. Going to have two bright colors, red and blue, going at it. Ain't that a talk that has been listed so often, red versus blue. At the moment, red is taking the advantage with Franklin Evans, Andrew Payne in the blue Napa-sponsored machine, trying the high side. Franklin Evans underneath Donovan Carty, getting very, very close to the rear quarter panel of that machine. Getting very loose indeed as he falls back. Andrew Payne now going to take his place on that inside line. Number 3 machine of Donovan Carty getting a nice pull from the 48 machine in front. It's going to be Tim Rogers. Andrew Payne himself getting a push from Stephen Hoffman. So it's a battle of the draft at the moment, as that high side not falling off as quick as we expected here tonight. Yes, it has only been 10 laps, but you'd be surprised at some tracks out there. That is as many as you can do in the outside lane before it starts to deteriorate your tires very, very rapidly. But not seemingly the case here at Iowa Speedway. Donovan Carty now trying to stay on the high side. A potential pass on the outside around Stephen Hoffman, who, it should be worth mentioning, I believe, is bringing a brand new paint scheme, as well as Hayden Swank further up front. McCarty, Andrew Payne, Stephen Hoffman, all pretty close together, but the same could be said for all of these cars in this pack. As Hoffman really chokes Andrew Payne down on the inside, and that's going to be Franklin Evans going round. Gets caught by Armado. Tagged around, continues, heads into pit road, and comes back out onto the grass, but we're going to stay under green, funnily enough. That's pretty amazing. As Charles Darling continues to try and work around Hayden Swank. Andrew Payne, Donovan Carty a little bit further back, still going side by side. Payne's going to make that move. Battle continuing to rage. Tim Rogers now trying the outside line against Darling. These battles continuing to rage fiercely up at the front of the pack. Darling gets loose. Comes back up in front of Payne. Thankfully, Payne saw it happening, got off the throttle a little bit, allowed it to happen. Rogers goes forward. Darling stays where he is. Donovan Carty now stuck to the outside as Andrew Payne is underneath once again. All these super late models fighting very hard to keep their positions. Charles Darling in the 88 machine now under fire from Andrew Payne himself. Bottom side seeming to be the quicker line, but not by a whole lot. Seems like corner exit is leaving you a little bit wanting, but corner entry is where all the time is gained. As Payne is still going to have Darling on the outside, so it's going to take one more lap to really get it done. And Darling is going to be left up there as Carty also tries to stick his nose in. But nothing doing, so they all fall back single file. Going back a little bit, it looks like Dante Hewer is trying to get around Zach Rush for the 12th position. Sorry, 11th position. As well as Armado being under fire from last week's winner, David Payton. Not finding the form that he had last week. Iowa, very, very different from our last track we went to, the Bullring. We cycle it back up front. Andrew Payne continuing to work his way through an incredible field, taking the spot away from Tim Rogers for third position. Darling just behind Rogers, looking like he might want to make a move, but doesn't. As always, we appreciate all the fans coming out to watch the craziness that unfolds here at ASRC, as it's always great racing. David Payton just making his way underneath Ben Armado, who's gonna be... Wow, that's a Herbie fully loaded move. Didn't work out the way that Herbie did. What a surprise. The movie is not reality. And he's gonna take a tow, so that was something I did not expect to see. One thing I have noticed from watching these races go around a whole bunch of different circuits all across the country of the United States is that these Super Late models, once you get them going and you get the right side to hit the wall, there seems to be so much aero on them that they really flip on their side quite easily. Just like we just saw with Ben Armado. So with those events behind us, Andrew Payne still looking, has made so much time and places through this race. Going to look now for the move on Hayden Swank. Swank, no stranger to running around and with Andrew Payne. These two always having great battles out on track. As Ron Hart almost checks up Hayden Swank, didn't expect him to break that much. And Payne going to try the high side now. This your only side-by-side battle out track at the moment. Hayden Swank, Andrew Payne side by side, continuing to be so. Andrew Payne just always has something in that 93 machine that just propels him toward the front, but under a lot of competition here with Ron Hart, Hayden Swank, Tim Rogers, Charles Darling, Donovan Cardy, Stephen Hoffman, and Brett Hahn, all pretty close together. Brett Hahn a little bit further back in the 8th position, but Brett Hahn he is there in the number 71 machine. Now he has moved up more places than any other car on track at the moment. Up 11 spots from where he started, getting himself into the 8th place. Devin McDonald, Kenneth Farmer going side by side. McDonald having that earlier incident, trying to make his way back up through the field as they continue to go side by side. We've got a battle for the lead. Ron Hart and Andrew Payne. Andrew Payne underneath Ron Hart. Hart's not going to give it up that easy. Hart led every single lap so far. and continues to do so as he's just a nose ahead of Andrew Payne at the moment. Oh, that was a brave move from both drivers if I've ever seen one. Ron Hart ducking down in front of Andrew Payne. This real estate is mine. You're going to have to work to get it. And we have a caution coming out, showing Dante Hewer involved. Oh, yeah, Zach Rush. And Rush goes a little bit high, not backing it down as much as he needed to keep to the inside, and just tags Hewer. Left rear panel and spins them both around. Oh, and Hewer gets back up into Rush. Rush gets back up into Hewer. Little bit of bumping and grinding. And Hewer facing backwards. Thankfully, no one else being involved in that accident, though. We're under our third caution here tonight. In the Car Parts Classic. Our good friend and colleague James East coming into the spectator area. And I can just hear his voice in my head saying, "That's not the line." That's a horrible James East impression. I'm sure he's probably thinking that very same thing. As we get as we continue to get underway here tonight, Ron Hart still leading from Andrew Payne, who's worked his way up 9 spots so far in this one. Behind him going to be Tim Rogers, Charles Darling in 4th, and Donovan Carty bringing up the 5th position. And I believe the reason for that, because we had Hayden Swank up here, as well as several other drivers, all coming down pit road, it looks like. Hayden Swank, Sturgill Jr., maybe as well, David Payton, Brett Hahn, Evan McDonald, John DeMista, all looking like they came down. Get some work done, maybe change a pair of tyres. Do have one additional set in the pits after all. And if we go green, I'm fully expecting that we may see Hayden Swank, as well as David Payton and some of the other drivers just mentioned before, making their way through the field on that fresh rubber. As we're just before the halfway mark in tonight's race, so probably not a bad move. But I guess it will come down to if it's easy to pass all the cars in front, or if track position is really the name of the game. Speaking to the drivers before the broadcast, was talking to them about how Aussie I should be, as James East is alluding to in the chat as well. Chuck in a bit of a g'day, or bloody oath, or something like that, but I think, I don't know, I'm using my normal voice, but I can definitely chuck on the Aussie, especially for the interviews. I might do just that. We'll see how the drivers respond as we continue to work with this one. Base truck lights are off. Get ready to go one more time. Caution laps looking a little bit longer than we're used to in the past, and I believe it's just purely the size of the oval. It's not a big one, but 0.85 of a mile is still quite a ways bigger than, well, especially last week. And a lot of the other tracks we have on schedule, these machines meant for short track racing. So a few of the longer tracks definitely seeming like an eternity go around under caution. Ron Hart getting a nice jump there. Andrew Payne not having as good a launch as he wanted, spinning the rears a little bit. Tim Rogers being able to get away from him because of that. Andrew Payne really sending it into T1 to try and get that position back. Donovan Carty, Charles Darling, side by side as well. Andrew Payne does get the position back. Charles Darling on the high side. Carty still going to be sending it there. We've got craziness happening a little bit further back. Dante Hewer, Brett Hahn, side by side, just ahead of them. Eric Hahn. David Payton just behind. Devin McDonald as well. Craziness everywhere out on track at the moment. Eric Hahn falling back just a little ways. Dante Hewer alongside. David Payton. Devin McDonald just behind as well. Oh, as Hewer gets a little bit sideways, 3 wide for a split second. Devin McDonald finds his way through. As Hewer falls back due to getting a very, very loose. Thankfully keeping control of the car underneath him. It is absolutely crazy. Brett Hahn just set the fastest lap of the race. 23.5 seconds. And under heavy traffic pressure at the moment. Brett Hahn up 12 spots now after passing Stephen Hoffman. Hardy getting very close to the rear bumper of Darling. Having to check up ever so slightly. That's going to allow Brett Hahn another spot. Maybe another again if he can get around Darling. And does so at the line. So Brett Hahn currently up 14 positions. Absolutely astounding racing from him. A little bit further back, John Kane is trying to work his way around Dante Hewer. Hewer not letting it happen though. As they sorted themselves out just as we sort of clicked to them. So we will go slightly further up as Charles Darling is really stuck on that high side at the moment. Our driver vote to win this one is going to be sent 3 wide for a split second. We were hinting at it. McDonald gets into the side of Hoffman there, really forcing his way underneath. And there it goes around. Darling gets punted. That was going to be Donovan Carty. It was hectic for a very long time. Something had to give. And Darling was the unfortunate receiver of that event. Carty probably thought they were going to stay 3 wide. And Darling thought they weren't. Coming to blows. Carty keeps it righted. Darling stays out of traffic. So Darling still looking for his first win and may have to continue looking after this one. Not a whole lot of damage, but very far back in the field. As we're going to have plenty of drivers come down pit road once again. Look at that thing. That's not the camera angle. Neither is that one. It's not too bad at the moment. Gonna see the drivers coming off pit road, so that kind of works. Ewer comes off just in front of Ron Hart, it looked like. Tim Rogers is going to come out now. Oh, there's a race off pit road there. Darling and Hahn, Hoffman and Cardi. Also having their own mini race out of pit road. Now, Andrew Payne has not come down pit road at all tonight. He is the lone driver that has not come down pit road. So that will be very interesting to see how that strategy pans out for him, as right behind him, look who it is once again, Hayden Swank. So currently we have Andrew Payne sitting in the first position, Hayden Swank with that pit stop on lap 34, I believe it was. 31, sorry. Hayden Swank in second, Brett Hahn in third, Brett the Jet coming in 16 places up from where he started. Devin McDonald, our lone Canadian, after being involved in an incident very early on in this race, I believe it was probably around lap 3, managed to work his way into fourth. And fifth place will be David Payton. Came down pit road most recently of all the drivers up there. Well, also lap 31, but came down later than the others. I guess that doesn't really count. So we're going to ignore that I just said that. But either way, David Payton, our winner from last week, is going to be in our top 5 as well. So the top 5 at the moment, absolutely stacked with talent. We have 3 of our past 4 winners in the top 5 at the moment, as well as our lone Canadian and Brett the Jet. So it is completely stacked up here at the top of the field. Not sure if I'm the only one seeing that or if my mind's playing tricks on me, but the pace truck's lights seem to come off 2 laps before green rather than 1, which is not the norm, unless my mind is playing tricks on me and I just did not pay as much attention as I thought I have. Huh. Oh well, we'll get on the phone to iRacing Infield about that. Get on the phone to the stewards and be like, hey, what's going on? But anyway, so Andrew Payne, Hayden Swank on his outside, Devin McDonald and Brett Hahn just behind. Hahn on the inside, McDonald on the outside, and Payne is going to throw the block on Hayden Swank pretty early on. Nice lead into the corner there. Brett Hahn following very closely in tow. There's already some big battles going on a little bit further back. Ron Hart having Kenneth Farmer underneath him. Ron Hart makes a zig and a zag and gets underneath John Kane now. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stacking up the field. That is utter craziness. As 3 wide, definitely hinting, maybe 4, thinking about it. Ron Hart really sending it in deep. Hayden Swank had that huge bobble. That really checked up everyone behind. Brett the Jet goes through. Hayden Swank falling a little bit behind Ron Hart at the moment. All of these cars, look how many there are. From second all the way through. I can't even tell how far it goes back. All the way to 15th. That is incredible. As three wide action continues. That is absolutely sensational. Zach Rush in the middle of that three wide action here at the back of this huge pack. Donovan Carty working his way underneath there. Go back to two wide. That is a smarter way around this track. John Kane, David Payton, Tim Rogers thinking about three wide. Rogers a little bit further back, so not able to do so. Kane and Payton go side by side. And this big pack evens out a little bit. Andrew Payne has been absolutely left to his own devices out front. As these battles continue. It's a battle of the eights. John Kane, Charles Darling, Tim Rogers, David Payton. It's absolute chaos. As surprisingly, no one has given, no one has fallen. And we continue to stay green and go through this utterly amazing show. Three wide, Darling sends it in deep. Rogers underneath. Oh no, there's a little bit of action. Bang! Into the outside wall. Whoa, Mr. Almost. Almost collects Charles Darling as well. Thankfully, nothing doing. That was a commentator's curse if I've ever given one, saying how clean, amazingly clean the racing has been with all these cars next to each other. And then half a lap later, that's when the accident takes place. Darling sends it three wide. Not the greatest idea he's ever had, but it was going to work until the 29 got into the wall, came across, bang into Tim Rogers, who keeps it going forward. So great stuff. Darling definitely, and there's the near miss from the number 2 of Demister. Charles Darling, some serious damage on that machine there. Get a look at that once more. 29 machine gets caught up in the wall and then comes down, and a bit of a bang and a bop to the wall. Oh no! Just realized the 48 machine got tagged. That was Tim Rogers. Got tagged as well. Hoffman was just coming in. They were right next to each other, nowhere to go. Unfortunately, collected Tim Rogers in that as well. And Andrew Payne, big turn of events here. Andrew Payne has come down pit road. I would say that's a bit of too little too late, as he's finally decided to collect some tires. But he's going to be all the way at the back of the grid, sitting in 16th position. You can see that Napa Auto Parts car, once again representing our sponsor for tonight's race. As well as the sponsor for the series, Advantage Auctions. Make sure to check Advantage Auctions out. www.advantage-auctions.com. Almost said it weird again. As we have Brett the Jet is leading the race at the moment. Thanks to Andrew Payne coming down pit road. Ron Hart not too far behind though, and being used to being out in front. So it'll be interesting to see how hard Ron Hart fights for this. Brett Hahn, your leader. Ron Hart in second position. Hayden Swank in third. Devon McDonald in fourth. And David Payton in fifth. So even with Andrew Payne being effectively replaced up the front here from our last caution with Ron Hart, we still have an absolutely star-packed front five. I mean, the entire grid is really star-packed. I mean, you've got names from just it's just crazy. I'm still in awe. I'm in awe every single week by how these drivers perform. They absolutely send it, and they usually race each other incredibly cleanly and do a great job of putting on the best show possible. So, um, kudos to them. Kudos to everyone watching. Oh man, just reminding myself of something I need to do. Apparently, yeah, thanks to everyone watching at home. Couldn't put on the show without the fans. So thank you for showing your support. And I know we've only got 24 laps to go, but if there is someone that you would like to give a specific shout out to, we can highlight them for a couple of laps as well. If you just send us their name on the YouTube chat, we will have a quick look. If we haven't already mentioned them, I do try to get as many of the drivers as I can throughout the broadcast so everyone gets a fair share of TV time. As Brett Hahn gets a nice jump from the launch off the start, Ron Hart tries to get down. Hayden Swank is going to throw his nose in there though and keep Hart up high. As it is still chaos further back out in the field, but we're going to stay up front at the moment because Ron Hart is trying something on the high side, and we just heard a crash on the inside, and I believe we have another caution. Andrew Payne, oh no. We're showing the 93 involved. Hits the outside wall, only a light tap. Oh, and the 059 gets spun around. Yep. And Andrew just gets absolutely clobbered. Let's have a look at Kenneth Farmer. As Brett Hahn gets underneath. And not ready to go three wide. And there's a collision from both. Roger's getting a little bit of it as well. And thankfully the entire field going through that wreck before cars came back down on track. So nothing else really malicious happening or unfortunate. Shouldn't say malicious, that's a bad word. None of these drivers are malicious. All these drivers are pretty solid. They're very nice guys. They know how to race each other hard but fairly. And just unfortunate that sometimes things like that happen, and that's called racing. But that's a huge unfortunate event for Andrew Payne. Finds himself now on pit road getting repairs done, and has been sitting there for over a minute now. So Brett the Jet Hahn is still going to be out in front. Ron Hart in second position. Hayden Swank in third. Devon McDonald in fourth. And John Kane now has worked his way past David Payton. into the 5th position. I do love looking at these paint schemes. A lot of them are very, very clean, very bright, very easily noticeable. And I'm getting used to what everyone's car looks like, so I don't have to look at my sheet every time I try and announce which number's what and who's where. I can just be like, hey, I know that guy. Anyway. I try to have a bit of fun up here in the booth, but I know it's got to be serious most of the time, so thank you for putting up with my antics. So we have spoken to Brett the Jet in the interview room before, but yet to get a win this season, so it will be absolutely amazing to talk to him again, full of energy and very, very happy to be in the booth talking to me last time he was here. And that was only last week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago. Andrew Payne has come back out on track. There he is there, looking worse for wear at the moment. See our grid thinned out a little bit now, as we've got about 4 or 5 cars behind the wall and out of the race at the moment. Brett Hahn, Ron Hart going to be starting us off. Brett the Jet with a nice jump, igniting his boosters. And there he goes, Ron Hart with a... I was going to say nice, but I'm thinking risky move on Hayden Swank, but able to get it down. Hayden Swank, I'm sure, not going to be incredibly pleased with that move. To go slightly further back, David Payton trying something on John Kane. Hoffman and Cardi just behind, very close together. Rush getting a little bit loose further back. Right behind him is Hewer on his bumper. There's Sturgill Jr. working his way back up through the field as well in the 90 machine. As he does a dive, there's going to be 3 wide for a second. That's going to be very, very risky. Cardi in the middle, closing up. Thankfully, Hoffman was just a little bit further in front to the point where Cardi could lift and fall back in line. Sturgill Jr. still working underneath Cardi. Donovan Cardi now stuck up on the high side for the briefest of moments, but he may be able to get back down as Hoffman with a damaged car pulls in front of Sturgill Jr. Trying to do something underneath John Kane, but losing a lot of time in the process. Sturgill Jr. not entirely happy with that one, as he's been forced to give up the position to Donovan Cardi. Cardi now going around Hoffman. Even Hoffman just looks like that damage to the right side, right front fender is really not helping his aerodynamics with the downforce. And as I say that, it's perfectly timed with him having a very loose end towards the rear of the car as Tim Rogers goes around and takes the air off. Andrew Payne making his way through the field once again, but it's definitely going to be too late for that 93 machine, unless he's absolutely given luck here. The iRacing gods may choose to shine a candle on him. We will have to see. As John Kane now getting very close to David Payton and getting very closed in on by Donovan Carty just behind, getting a little bit loose. Donovan Carty thought about taking advantage, decided better of it, or maybe just wanted the high line as he goes high for the moment. Number 3 machine chucking it on the high side of John Kane. And is going to take that spot away. Very decisive move from the number 3 to the number 29. We have to go a little bit further up. Devon McDonald and David Payton are going side by side. As I say that, Payton went way high. A little bit too high. And then tries to go under. Donovan Carty almost getting a much nicer run through the middle of the corner. Gonna jump up to the front 3. This top 3 really getting away from the rest of the pack at the moment. Brett the Jet Hahn is still out in front. Ron Hart in second. Aiden Swank. Seen Swank at the front many, many times. Continuing to prove he has the pace. Just further back, David Payton's going to make the move on Carty. Carty gets into the side. Apologies, that was Devon McDonald. Carty takes the position away. So Carty moves his way into the top 5. Virgil Jr. under John Kane now. This second pack is where all the action is. Oh no, Devon McDonald gets his wheels up on the outside. And shades of what we saw Armado do earlier on. Once again. And back to this top 3 because it looked like Swank was trying to make a move on Ron Hart. Filed back a little bit, but definitely running a slightly different line. Hart is diamonding what I would call diamonding the corner a lot more. So entering higher, getting in lower in the middle, then exiting higher. Aiden Swank with a more traditional smooth sort of line going into the corner. And they're both working their way to try and get to Brett. As we go further back, because it keeps on continuing. These battles going on. John Kane is going to lose the spot to Hoffman on the inside. If Hoffman can keep the momentum underneath him, doesn't look like he can, as he sent it pretty hard to try and take that spot away. 7 laps to go in this one. They are winding down the clock. John Kane really sticks it in high and keeps it going. Hoffman is going to fall back in line now. Andrew Payne just behind there, as you can see as well. Behind Tim Rogers, who's just in front of him. Zach Rush as well. In there, this pack starting to build into a big one. As John Kane continuing to find himself under a lot of pressure from a lot of the cars around him. He's been under fire a lot lately. And this is turning into another chaotic battle between multiple drivers. As Andrew Payne has made the move on Tim Rogers. And trying to keep himself from losing too many spots and trying to gain as many as possible. Keep himself in the championship hunt as much as he can. Gonna go a little bit further up front. David Payton is under fire from Donovan Carty just behind. This is the battle for 4th position. .38 in the 3, having a big battle. 2 laps to go. Brett the Jet still out in front. Ron Hart still just behind. And Hayden Swank not too far behind him as well. As the battle for 4th, here comes Donovan Carty. Donovan Carty choosing better of it, actually. As we go back up front, because Hayden Swank is looking to take 2nd place away. Dives it in deep. Ron Hart goes wide, but Ron Hart's going to have the edge on corner exit. He's going to make it stick. Brett the Jet with the win. And Ron Hart is going to just barely edge over Hayden Swank. 2nd place, David Payton keeps hold of 4th. And Donovan Carty is going to round home the top 5. Sure, everyone is going to be ecstatic with the win there. We continue the trend from 4 weeks in a row to 5 weeks in a row, having a new winner every single week. You can see some congratulations from some of the drivers. As Brett throws the victory donuts out. So there are your points table for, well, not the points table, but the results table for the night. Brett Hahn with the win, Ron Hart in 2nd, Hayden Swank bringing up 3rd, David Payton and Hardy in 5th. Cycle that on back so you can see the rest of the grid there. Mark Welch bringing up the rear in position, not actually starting the race though. There we go, as we get ready to bring the drivers up into victory lane. First person, obviously, that we're going to pull up is going to be Hayden Swank. Ian Swank. Somewhere there he is. Hayden Swank, if you got a copy.
I have got a copy.
Well, welcome to 3rd position. It was an absolutely astounding race. It was great to see you up front, and really fought hard to keep it as long as you did. I mean, tell us about that great battle, and also tell us about really what happened with Andrew Payne, because we saw the two of you starting to get close together. I was getting excited, and then he just didn't fit with the rest of you.
Yeah. So, going into this race, I was, not looking forward to it at all. I was probably one of my worst tracks on the sim, but we qualified well, heat raced well, and that first stint of the race, it was really solid running. There's tons and tons of guys that were really quick, like Brett, like Andrew, like Ron, like Sturgill, but we were able to fight hard, keep the track position, and I could really feel the tenth, the tension in the championship battle there, fighting with Andrew. But the pitch strategy kind of worked out for us. I think it would have worked out a little bit better for him, but unfortunately, I think he got caught up in a wreck. But either way, really, really wild race.
Yeah, so Hayden, did mention it in the broadcast booth several times. We're no stranger to seeing you in the interview room, and certainly you've got your own win under your belt. But I guess the question I got to ask you is, Ron Hart really pushed you to your limits. It looked like you were really struggling to keep him away from the second place, and in the end, not quite able to do so.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely tough to pass somebody that was quick all night long. And I mean, Ron has been on it all day. I think he grabbed the pole, and he's been at the front all day. So it was definitely a challenge to keep up with him. But he definitely got the best of me this weekend. To be honest, I thought he was going to win the race until the 71 got involved. So still a really really positive week, good points week. Always great to finish on the podium.
Well, Hayden, always great to talk to you. Who would you like to give a shout out to for this third place finish? We know you've earned it.
Absolutely. Definitely want to thank the American Sim Racing Club for putting this race on. As always, they put on a phenomenal show. Also, want to thank Overtime and GM Performance Parts for supporting my career. Also, want to thank Napa Parts Place for sponsoring this event in particular, and then for Advantage Auctions. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring this series. So another good weekend. We'll move on to the next week. I think we got a few short tracks in a row, so maybe we can grab win number 2. We'll see.
All right, sounds good, Hayden. We'll catch you then.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Hayden Swank bringing it home in third. Second, we have Ron Hart. I'm going to see if I can grab him. Someone I don't actually see able to be grabbed at the moment. So I believe. Uh, yeah, we're not seeing Ron Hart here. That's not gonna. What is it? So while we wait for a potential word on Ron Hart, all right. So we're getting informed that Ron Hart is not actually able to be reached for an interview tonight. That's unfortunate to see, but definitely a good second place position for him, running a different line to anyone else. Oh, we can bring Payton in here? That's what we're being told? Instead, oh, let's bring David Payton in here. Always great talking to David Payton. Bringing it home in fourth. David, what's going on, buddy? David, David. Now David's gone AWOL on me. It's crazy. Oh well. David, I'll give you like a minute. And if you don't talk to me after that, then I'll probably just move it on to Brett the Jet, our winner. I'm looking like a fool up here in the booth. uh, all right. David. Yep. Okay. That's a good call. All right. So David is unable to be reached as well. So we're just gonna go straight to Brett the Jet because that's probably the smartest move to do here. Brett Hahn, you got a copy.
Yeah, I got you, Garrett. Don't worry, someone will talk to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I've got to say, um, 5 different winners in 5 weeks. This whole series is insane, and you know what? I can't believe I'm talking to you, especially in Victory Lane, because I talked to you 2 weeks ago, and you sounded absolutely ecstatic to just be on the podium, and now you've got a win under your belt.
Yeah, Gareth, I tell you what, the 71 machine was tuned up tonight. We were on a roll there, and I tell you what, I really love these super lates at these bigger tracks. And coming here to Iowa, we have a pretty good track record here, pretty good setup under the 71 machine. And yeah, I was a little bit worried because, as I don't know if you caught it in the broadcast, but I missed grid here jumping in for my other series, and I had to start from pit road here tonight.
I don't think I caught that one, but I mean I mean well, I can basically see it on the grid. Did you know that you passed? Well, I guess you would know, considering you started on pit lane. You passed 18 drivers on the way to the front. So and with this caliber of field, I mean, that's impressive. That's just, well, that's astonishing. That's all I can say.
Yeah, Gareth, I tell you what, I love passing cars and getting to do battle, especially everyone in the league. Everyone's a blast to race around and to come through the field here tonight. I'm a little bit bummed because I don't get those shotgun points from if you do the challenge. I'm just doing it each weekend with missing qualifying in the heat races and whatnot. So I got a big uphill battle each and every week. But yeah, to bring it home in victory lane, we're definitely pumped up over here.
Well, I tell you what, Brett, I know I can tell you're pumped up. I can hear it in the voice and feel it in the air, and it's electric. It really is. And congratulations for taking home the $25 prize, thanks to Napa Auto Parts as well.
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to them coming on board here tonight to sponsor the race. If you need any good parts on any vehicle you need, be sure to check them out. They do some awesome work, and yeah, I give Napa a huge shout out. Same with I think it's Pristine Auctions or whatever auctions it is as well. For of
Advantage.
course Slip Advantage Auctions. Yep, be sure to check them out for any of your needs or whatnot. They do some awesome work as well.
All right. Well, Brett, I can't say much more. I mean, it's always absolutely a blast talking to you. Uh, who would you like to give a shout out to? I mean, you've already given shout outs to the sponsors, but I'm sure there's some family or friends or anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to for well, I mean, for your first place.
Yep, the first one of the season's always a very special one, and to do it here, fifth race, like you said, a fifth different winner in this series is always awesome. So first and foremost, got to give a shout out to you, Gareth, and Team Goon Squad putting on this broadcast here tonight. Can't wait to go rewatch it out here. Of course, watching at home, you got the girlfriend Jessie cheering me on. My grandma Grammy tuning in each and every week. Of course, a fellow competitor, also the man that taught me all the great lessons. The 7-Eleven machine of Eric, my dad. Gotta give a shout out to him. Of course, all the admins here, Tanner, Talarico putting on an awesome league. And all the fellow competitors, Ron Hart, always a tough one to beat. So to beat that 51's always feels good. Hayden Swank, too bad we didn't have Andrew Payne. And I got to give a big shout out last week to Dave Payne picking up his first win in the series in 2 years. So got to give him a shout out. And of course, Nick Flory, he's moving right now. So he's not out here, but I know he's probably tuning on in, cheering us on. So but yeah, and then on the car, QuickTime Motorsports Media, Turn Through Racing Network, RHU, Rogers Cars, and that's about it. So Gareth, a lot of people to thank usually from the 71 machine.
Yeah, I can see that, but that just makes it more special. Really, more than anything else, that just makes it more special. So
But yeah, it's
that's
always great having a great following. The Jet crew cheer me on, so hopefully we can add some more wins here this season with jumping in late each and every week.
oh, I mean, with the pace you showed here tonight, I wouldn't be surprised at all. It was fantastic talking to you, Brett the Jet, ladies and gentlemen. And I guess we'll see you in the near future, that's for sure.
Yep, Gareth. Hopefully we'll be talking to you some more as the season goes on. So you have yourself a great rest of the night, and thanks again everyone for tuning on in and watching.
All right, thank you, Brett. We'll catch you later.
See ya.
All right, that was a great send-off, by the way, from Brett the Jet Hahn. The see ya. That was that was that was really funny to see. But yeah, so as we said before, thank you to all our family, friends, everyone watching at home. It has been an absolute pleasure and to bring you this race as well as I can, as well as Team Goon Squad can. American Sim Racing Club putting on a bunch, our sponsors, Advantage Auction, and Napa Auto Parts. So this has been phenomenal, and can't wait to see you all next week. Next week we go to North Carolina, go to North Wilkesboro Speedway, throwback week as well, so it should be a good one to watch. And we will see you then. Take care. Have a good night.